All right. So my name is Reneen Royer, and I'm a senior admission counselor and transfer lead for Washington State University. And I have with me one of my favorite colleagues, Laura, if you can introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Welch. I am the Assistant Director of the Transfer Center here at WSU.
And I'm going to go ahead and share a screen with you all. All right, are you able to see it? Hopefully. Are you able to see the screen, Laura?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, slideshow. Start from the beginning. All right. So welcome. We have some good information to share with you, and there's our obligatory pictures with Butch, whom we love. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the degree finder and new majors at WSU. We're going to talk about admission process and timeline for transfers, how to transfer credit to WSU, and then we're going to review our resources that we have for students, and then we have a question and answer time at the end. All right, so we have 6 campuses. Today's information is going to be applicable to all of our campuses. We have our global campus, which is completely online, and it's asynchronous, and people are from all over the world attending our global campus. We have our Everett campus, which is our newest and our smallest campus, a beautiful location very close to Seattle, Washington. We have our Vancouver campus, which that one's close to Portland, Oregon. And they have between 2,000 and 3,000 students. We have our Tri-Cities campus located in the wine country of Washington, and the more sun, if you want a lot of sun, that's the area to go to. Pullman campus is our oldest and largest campus, located 8 miles from the Idaho border. And then we have our Spokane campus, which is our health science campus. And it's a beautiful location right in the center of Spokane. So it houses our School of Medicine, Pharmacy, School of Nursing, Speech and Hearing Science, and Nutrition and Exercise Physiology. Okay, so what type of student should apply? Any college student who's interested in WSU and who has a 2.0 transfer GPA or higher. WSU, we guarantee consideration for everyone with a 2.0 or higher. But we don't guarantee that they will be admitted, but we do guarantee that we will give them full consideration. All right. My screen is giving me some problems here. So WSU loves transfer students. Between 2,000 and 3,000 transfer students come to our system every single year. And prospective transfer students can know ahead of time how their credits are going to transfer, which is something that is not as common at universities where the students get a full transfer credit report before they have to accept their offer of admission. And in that way, they'll be able to know how their credits will transfer to the university. And we do offer over 200 areas of study, and all of our majors do accept transfer students. So our new degree finder, we're very excited about this. It indicates which campus or campuses house that degree. It tells you if there's a minor available, a major available, if there's graduate programs available for that particular degree. And then it lists what are the specialties or the highlights of particular programs. So here's our degree finder, what it looks like. So we try to keep the URL very simple. It's degree.wsu.edu. And wanted to highlight a new major that is getting a lot of buzz right now. It's public health. And this one is housed at Pullman, Spokane, and Vancouver. So you're welcome to look at the degree finder or encourage your students to get some more information about that major. So here's a highlight example that there's a lot of hands-on learning, cutting-edge research opportunities with leading faculty and researchers, specializations. We have 2 branches that you can do with this: infectious disease or community and behavioral health. And then our degree finder provides examples of careers that students can go into with this major. So other new majors that are getting some buzz, cybersecurity. This is a standalone program and it's offered at Everett, Pullman, and Tri-Cities. Our planetary science program is somewhat new at the Pullman campus, and we have our own planetarium. It is so cool. And then we also have the largest refracting telescope in the state of Washington at our Jewett Observatory. We have a new social work major at Tri-Cities and a Bachelor of Science in Pharmaceutical and Medical Sciences in Spokane. This is a great pre-med or pre-pharm major. So lots of options for students. So what is our admission and process timeline? Our application process is very simple. The students go to apply.wsu.edu and they submit their application. Students tell me it takes 20 minutes or so to fill out the application. Then we do need a $70 application fee, or students can request a fee waiver. And this is a way that you can really help the students. If you're working with someone who you think should qualify for a fee waiver, they have to include the contact name and information of a non-relative adult, and you would be a perfect contact for them for this. We do not require essays. So students are very excited about this. No college essay, no letters of recommendation needed, but we do need the college transcript, and that can be unofficial. So the students don't have to keep paying that transcript fee over and over again. So during the admission process, students can send us their unofficial transcript, and then after, if they accept our offer admission, then we would need their official transcript from your institution. All right. We've tried to keep it streamlined, as simple as possible. Now, this is a question we get often from your students. Do I need a high school transcript? The answer is, if a student has 40 quarter credits or 27 semester credits after they have graduated from high school, then they do not need their high school transcripts. If they have less than that, then we do need their high school transcript. And it needs to be a final official transcript from the students, from the high school, excuse me. So there's some confusion on that end. But so I just wanted to share that with you. So if you're working with someone, you'll be able to provide them with that information. And then as a resource, we put together a little short video, less than a minute long, for students to view on how to send their transcripts to us. And it's at our application page, apply.wsu.edu. All right, so some deadlines. Our priority transfer application deadline for the spring semester, which for us this year starts January 6th. The deadline is November 15th. For nursing, the prior year, it's July 15th. So they're very advanced in the nursing program as far as receiving applications. For our global campus, they will accept applications until November 29th. For our fall semester, it's July 15th for most of our majors and campuses, but the exceptions are nursing and pharmaceutical medical sciences is close, but July 1st. Global campus, July 18th. And then the Pullman campus, we decided to wait to the very last minute, and students can apply on up until August 7th. But of course, we always recommend students apply earlier rather than later. Some additional information, we do rolling admission. So as students apply and we know that we want them, we let them know, so we don't keep them hanging for some arbitrary date. We just, as soon as we make the decision, then we let them know right away. So we are constantly making admission decisions throughout the school year. And then I want you to know, and to hopefully share this information with your students, that being admitted to the university and being admitted to their major are two separate things. However, the process of being admitted to their major can be very, very simple. For some departments, it's just like letting the department know, and that's it. And there's other departments, like with nursing, for example, you have to go through a lot of hoops to get into that major. I have good news. All of our engineering and computer science majors are direct admit if the student is ready to take calculus or they've already taken it, then they can get directly into one of those programs. Another question we're receiving a lot from students is about housing. So I wanted to let you know we do have 3 campuses that have campus housing available. So Everett campus has an agreement with Everett Community College, which is right across the street, that our students can be housed at the Everett resident halls. Our Tri-Cities campus also has an apartment complex right on campus, which is predominantly housing students, WSU students. And then also our Pullman campus is a full residential campus with over 17 different resident halls, plus on-campus apartments. Something that's very popular for students coming to Pullman is we have a age-restricted resident hall, where students have to be 19 years of age or older to live there. And that's a picture that's on the slide here. They get a single room at the same price that many others are paying for double rooms. So it's a nice convenience that we offer for students. All right, so now we're going to transition into transferring credit to WSU, and I'm going to turn the floor over to my colleague, Laura.
Yes, hello. So I'm going to share just resources that are available both to you and to the students that you work with. So that way, as students are planning their transfer and maybe they're still planning what courses to take at your institutions, they'll know how those courses will transfer to WSU and into the major that they intend to pursue. So next slide. So there are a couple of main kind of tools and areas where tools are that I'll be sharing with you during this presentation today. One of those is our catalog. So I'd say our catalog, it has a lot of great information, super helpful. It's not always the most intuitive or user friendly. So I'm going to walk you through how to find what we call schedules of study. And these are 4-year course plans that show what specific courses students need to earn a degree in a specific major. And then I will also go over tools that you can find on our Transfer Center website. So some of you may already be familiar with the Transfer Center website and these tools, and so it might be just good review to kind of go over those. So yeah, next slide. So to find our catalog, the website, you can either just Google WSU catalog, or it's catalog.wsu.edu. And so to find where these schedules of studies are, on the home page, you would select the catalog of the WSU campus that your student wants to attend, because each campus has different degree programs, different majors. So if you select a catalog, and then on the next website that'll pop up, you'll see bullet points. One of them will say academic units, and then the other will say courses. And so you're going to want to click on the link that says academic units for that catalog. And then next slide. What should pop up is another website that has a drop-down box. And within that drop-down box should be all of the different major areas that are offered at the campus you've selected for that catalog. So I've used psychology for this example. So in the drop-down box, once you select a major, it will take you to that major's main page or college's page or website. And on the right side of that web page, there will be a link. Links underneath what the schedules of studies heading. And so for psychology, there's just one because we just have one major in psychology. So if you click that link, it will take you to, so the far right of the slide, it'll take you to that major specific page. And so there's different information on that page. So it'll show you everything from admissions requirements for that specific major, to GPA requirements to stay in a major if there are more strict GPA requirements. And then the main meat of the page will have a 4-year course plan. And so it'll go term by term and list out, here are the courses that students need to complete. And some majors like engineering, it's the course plan is pretty prescribed, but then there are others where if something is listed in like the second year, second term, the student, may or may not have to take it in that term. It's just a general suggestion for how courses are listed out. But yeah, next slide. So then once you kind of have the schedule of study in hand, and it kind of shows like what students need to take at WSU, then the next step is figuring out how do courses from your institution transfer to WSU to plug into those majors. And so this is the home page for our Transfer Center website. The website is transfercredit.wsu.edu. And there are kind of red boxes that highlight our transfer tools section. And that's where you can find different things that are listed in those bullet points. So the Evaluate My Transfer Credit tool, the Transfer Course Search tool, our course evaluation request form, and more information about how to read transfer credit reports. So those are our main tools. But then we also have a direct link to our transfer course search tool just right on the homepage. So the transfer course search tool is probably the tool that people use most often when they're trying to figure out how courses will transfer. And so I'll be going over that and how to use it later in this presentation. So yeah, so next slide. So this is our evaluate my transfer credit tool that you can find in our transfer tool section. This is a tool that I would say it's useful in some situations, but maybe not all situations. This is where students, if they click through this tool, they have the ability to enter in. So if they've got like over a year's worth of credit, they can enter in all of their classes in bulk. And this tool will just generate a list of how those courses will transfer to WSU. So it's really useful for students who have at least a year of credit and just want to know all at once how everything will transfer. And these results can also be saved. So students have the option to input their email address into this tool, and it will email the report that's generated. And then students have the ability to come back to that list, so they don't have to keep entering their information over and over again. So yeah, next slide. There are a couple of caveats. So this is it only has information from US institutions, so nothing from any international colleges, universities. It's great for saving information about courses that have already been completed, but it's not really super useful if you're trying to build a schedule and you don't know what courses to take and how they'll transfer ahead of time. And also the one thing that we eventually want the tool to do is we eventually want it to be able to plug courses into degree plans, but right now it doesn't have the capacity to do that. It will only generate a list of how courses will transfer, and it can't plug them into majors. So students will still need to use that schedule of study along with the list of courses that are generated, and then kind of manually plug in, okay, what's covered in my degree plan and what courses will I have to take at WSU. So yeah, next slide. So then this is our transfer course search tool. So if you were to click on the link to this tool that's just listed right on the homepage of the Transfer Center website, it would take you to this page that says transfer credit equivalencies at the top. And then to access the tool, you would click that link that says transfer course search. And it will take you to a page that has different drop-down boxes. And so for these drop-down boxes, you would select the state of Washington automatically populates, but if you are from a school in a different state, you can pick the state where your school is located. And then you would select the school that your credit is coming from. And then there are two boxes at the bottom, that expected entry term and subject box. And those are you can use them to kind of narrow down your search. But I find that it's easiest just to leave those blank, because then when you click search, it will pull up a chart of every single course from that institution that has ever been evaluated by WSU. So it kind of makes the search process a little bit easier, and then kind of prevents you from having to click back and forth too many times. So yeah, next slide. So then if you were to click search, it pulls up this chart. And then how to read this chart is the column on the far left side. That's going to show you the transfer course number. So in this example, it's from Centralia College. So everything in the column on the left are Centralia College course numbers. And then all of the information to the right of the column with the arrows will show you how those courses will transfer to WSU. So for example, Accounting 230 at the very bottom, if a student takes that course will transfer to WSU as Accounting 231. So yeah, next slide. So courses can transfer to WSU in a couple of different ways. And we evaluate all transcripts on a course by course basis. There are certain transfer degrees that will automatically cover certain general education requirements, but we do also go course by course through transcripts. And so they can transfer as either direct equivalencies. So, a course will transfer as a specific course at WSU. So English 101 at the Washington Community Colleges will transfer as English 101 to us, or electives. So anytime you see X's in a transfer course, that means that the course is getting elective credits. They can still, electives can also meet UCOR requirements or general education requirements. They just can't meet any specific course requirements for majors. Sometimes you'll see non-transfer courses, and so when you see that in the database, those are those kind of restricted technical vocational courses that, because WSU is not a technical vocational school, we just cannot award credit to some of those like restricted courses. Yeah, so next slide. For those of you who are at a quarter system, because we are a semester school, there are certain series of courses, mainly the hard sciences and calculus. We're just taking 1/4 of that sequence is not enough to get full equivalency for one semester at WSU. And that's just because a quarter is shorter than a semester by a few weeks. And so the 1/4 is not quite covering all of the content that is covered in one semester. So we've got a couple of different examples. So the calculus sequence at the community colleges is on Washington Community Colleges is on the top. So you can see just taking the first quarter is elective credit at WSU. And so you actually have to take the second quarter of the sequence to get full equivalency for our Math 171 or our Calculus 1. And then if the student completes the series, they'll get a full 2 semesters of our calculus, because 2 semesters is a year of credits and 3/4 is a year of credit. So yeah, and then next slide, if you are a little bit more visual like I am, it's kind of like this, where you can see the content of the 3/4 kind of matching up to the 2 semesters. And it's just a visual example of that. So yeah, next slide. Another resource that your students might use is our course evaluation request form. And so this is for any courses that you cannot find in the transfer course search tool. It's the course number just isn't listed at all. And so this is a form that students can fill out. And the most important thing that they need is a syllabus from the course that they would like to have evaluated. So that information is sent to our faculty members, and they will compare the transfer course syllabus information with WSU's course information to see, is this a direct equivalent to something here, or is it, elective, but it can meet a UCOR requirement? And so that process, that's the process that students can follow to get those courses evaluated. And then depending on the type and amount of coursework, the process could take up to 2 weeks. It just kind of depends on which department you're looking for equivalencies from, and what their process of evaluation is. And then for advisors specifically, so if your school is offering just a brand new course that you want to have evaluated and added to the database, so you can just email the transfer center directly for that evaluation. So just email us and then just include any like syllabus information for that new course that you might have, and we can have that evaluated and added. So you don't necessarily have to go through the whole course evaluation process. That's more for like the student end of things. Next slide. So once a student submits their official transcripts, our admissions processing department will create what's called a transfer credit report. And this will show, it's just a table, it'll show all of their transfer credits and how that credit will transfers over, how the credit transfers over to WSU, and whether or not those courses meet any like UCOR requirements or anything else. And students can access this report on their My WSU student portal. Next slide. So this is just an example of what a transfer credit report could look like. So it'll have everything from their transfer GPA and the total number of credits they'll have, to any degrees that they've earned, and that are listed on the transcript. And then you can see in that course credit section, it'll have a chart. And it's similar to our the search tool, where the left side has the transfer course number, and then the right side of the chart shows how that course will transfer over to WSU. And more information about how to interpret transfer credit reports can be found on our Transfer Center website. We have in our browse, our transfer tools section, we have a page for transfer credit report information that you can look up. Next slide. All right, so a big, an update that's effective fall 2025. We've made just some updates to the language in our academic regulations to help explain how associate of science transfer degrees are like what they will cover at WSU. And so on this slide, everything that's bold and underlined, that's the updated text. And we just wanted to make it more clear, because the way that the academic regulation is currently written is a little bit muddy as far as like what general education requirements are covered by the AST, and what's not. And so this makes it more clear. So if a student completes an Associate of Science transfer degree, that will having the degree automatically satisfies our writing, quantitative reasoning, biological science, and physical science requirements. But then any additional UCOR or general education requirements will be satisfied on a course by course basis, depending on what other courses students are taking for that AST degree. So what this means for you as advisors, if you have students who are earning Associate of Science transfer degrees, those 3 courses that they're taking for those humanities and social sciences requirements, try to like make sure that they are meeting separate UCOR requirements, like they're not taking 3 social science classes, or they're not taking multiples of the same type of class. And so this is something you can use the transfer course search tool to check. I have also created and sent out earlier this fall or late summer, I've sent out pathways documents. And so I've sent them to advisors at each community college. If you are not one of the people that I emailed, but you would like the document for your specific school, email the transfer center, let me know, and I can get those to you. But I've created documents basically to try to help advisors, but as we kind of transition to this, make sure that you're helping your students cover the most UCOR requirements that they can before they transfer to us. So yeah, next slide. So some of the information that's on these documents that I've created, they contain updated regulation language. So it has the regulation and then kind of updates on that. Directions to find those schedules of study, so that in the catalog. So I kind of walked you through that a little bit earlier, but this just has directions of helping find that as well. And then there are also 2 tables on these documents. The first table, so I went through, so all of the schools, all the community colleges in Washington that offer an Associate of Science transfer degree, I went through the catalogs and found all the courses that meet the humanities and social science requirements, and then created a table to show how those courses fit within our UCOR requirements. So that's the first table. And then the second table actually goes a little bit further, and it tells you, okay, based on what major your student wants to pursue at WSU, what 3 courses make the most sense for that humanities and social science requirement. So it has a little bit additional detail to kind of help you help your students kind of plan ahead. So as of right now, all of these things are just in PDF document forms, which I agree is not necessarily always the best way to get information out to people. So right now, we've got IT folks who are working on adding this information to the Transfer Center website. And hopefully it will be added by the end of the quarter and end of the semester. So that way it can be accessed by any advisor at any time, just right on our website. So yeah, next slide. So this is just, I know this is a lot of text, but this is just an example of what the document looks like in person. So this is just Olympic College's document. So on the left side of the slide, you can just see, the information about the regulation. There's just some general notes for advisors who are helping students through the AST program. And then you can see at the bottom of the left side and then the right side, this is the table that shows you excuse me, here's how the humanities and social science classes from Olympic College meet WSU's UCOR requirements. So you can see all the courses that meet arts, all the courses that meet humanities, social science, they're all separated out. And there's also notes on some additional notes for advisors too. And then next slide. And then this is the example of the second chart that is on those pathways, where it shows you based on if you're AST track 1 versus AST track 2, is that left-hand column. Then the middle column shows you, what are the recommended courses to take for that humanities social science requirements. So for example, and then also the far right will show you, what WSU major this works for. So for example, if someone is in, let's see, wants to do neuroscience, so that's AST track 1. And you can see neuroscience general on the far right, and you can see psych 100 and 2 additional courses that meet separate UCOR requirements. So you'd have your student take Psych 100, which is a social science requirement at WSU. So then you'd have them take 2 additional courses that don't meet social science. So maybe like an arts or a Hume or a diversity. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, if you would like access to this PDF before everything gets posted on the website, send the Transfer Center an email with the school that you're from, and I can email that PDF document to you. And then yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Next slide. And I think we're going to have to ask, but if you have any questions at all throughout the presentations, feel free to put them in the chat. Yes, the email to request it. Yes, it is transfer@wsu.edu. Yes, thank you. But yes, please put any questions in the chat or raise your hand if you have questions throughout. So yeah, additional resources that the Transfer Center can provide to students. We have virtual one-on-one appointments that students can sign up for. And the link to sign up for those appointments is right on the Transfer Center homepage. So if you have students who are thinking about transferring and just want more detail about how their courses will plug into different degree programs, that's a good time to talk through that with I guess me right now. I'm the only one, but there will be more people eventually in the Transfer Center. We also do some just general programming. So we're at different events for admissions. We do programs during our week of welcome. We help with new COOG orientation. We're also a good resource referral. So if students, they don't know where to go, but they have questions, you can always you can just send them our way, and we can send them in the right direction for whatever they need. We teach a seminar class for incoming transfer students every semester. It just gives them more information about resources on campus. And then we can also email, phone, in person advising. We can help with that too. We are currently experiencing a staff shortage. I used to, up until last Monday, I had 2 other people working in the office, and they both moved on to other opportunities. And so I am the only one as of right now, but we are working on posting positions. So responses might be a little delayed as we hire new people. But I am still here to answer questions, and I'm doing what I can with the time and capacity that I have. Next slide. All right, so yeah, so overall, how you can build the student's pathway to WSU. Again, use those tools that I just went over, the schedule of study and the catalog, our transfer course search tool, or the evaluate my transfer credit tool. Students can also contact advisors at WSU. That's another referral help if we can do. If a student is unsure of how to connect with an advisor in a department here, the Transfer Center can help with that. There are also contact info on the degree finder websites that Renine shared with you, as well as different departments have their own website. Admissions counselors can also support students throughout their process of applying and admissions, and if they have any other general questions about WSU. And so the rep.wsu.edu website is a great, it's a tool that students can use. So based on what region they're coming from, everyone's assigned a specific admissions counselor, a specific person. So that link can give them the correct contact information for their counselor. Next slide. And then there's just a different additional resources. So the link at the top, that is the transfer events website where students can sign up for either a virtual appointment with Transfer Center staff, or Renine does a group virtual admissions presentation. And those are on Mondays from 1 to 2 p.m. So she's got one today that she is presenting to students. And then again, there's that rep.wsu.edu for the admissions counselor information. Next slide. And then these are just additional important links. So the Transfer Center, I put the email in the chat, but the email's right there on the slide as well. And then that's our office phone number. The link to find admissions counselor, the Transfer Center website link is there. And then also the catalog to find schedules of studies is listed there as well. All right, next slide. I believe this is you,
Okay.
Renee.
So we wanted to be accessible to you all. If you would like for us to present at a staff meeting or a group meeting, or even just one-on-one, we would be happy to do that. You can just reach out to me directly at renine.royer@wsu.edu, and we would be happy to join with you virtually for any of those things. And also we crave your input. So if you have additional comments, maybe how we can make this presentation more helpful or applicable, or other questions that come up as you're working with students, we would love to hear back from you. So feel free to reach out. And then we have our contact information. So both Laura and I are great resources. And if we can't answer your question, we can find out who knows the answer. All right, so now I'm going to stop the share. And it's time for your questions. So what questions do you have for us? And feel free to type it in the chat or just to unmute and just shout it out. That's whatever you feel comfortable with. Okay, someone raised their hand.
Yep,
Dion.
sorry about
Yes.
that. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I just had a question because earlier I remember you mentioning students applying with a 2.0 GPA are fully considered but not directly admitted. So I just had wanted a clarification on like what the difference is when we say they're being like fully considered, if that makes sense.
So I may have misspoken because they will, if they're admitted, they're admitted. So
Oh, okay.
we promise to consider someone at a 2.0, but we don't promise to admit them. So if anyone has below a 2.0, we can't even look at their application. It's an immediate deny. But if they have a 2.0 or higher, then we will look at them. And just to give you some perspective, in Pullman, we have we have a scholarship for students who have a 3.2 GPA or higher. It's an automatic scholarship. And that is, so you can tell we really value students at that level. Most often I see students admitted with a 2.5 or higher. And then also, we really like it if students do have an associate's degree, we give them some extra brownie points in the admission process. So even with a 2.0 and an associate's degree, they have a much higher chance of getting admitted. So there's all these different variables, but we promise at a 2.0, we will at least consider them for admission. Oh, good, we're getting some questions here. Okay. The requirement for housing, there is no requirement. So transfer students, well, there is an exception. If a student is going to Pullman and they're transferring and they haven't had a year's worth of college under their belt, they say they're at a community college for a quarter and then they're coming to us, they will have to live in the resident halls the first year. Because the way the statute reads, it's if you've been in college for a year, or you're over the age of 19, then you don't have to live in the resident halls. Otherwise, you do. But that's only at residential campuses. And currently, WSU Pullman is the only campus that's considered a residential campus. So generally, it's not required at all for transfer students. They can live wherever they want.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's a list of majors that require a separate application or separate step to get them into them. No, there's not. Thank you for saying that. That is a great suggestion. We should do that. We've usually just work with students one-on-one as they tell us what they're interested in, then we give them that information. But that's a great idea. So we'll have to work on getting that together for you, maybe by our spring transfer meeting. Okay, another question, Highline College, yay. Is there a filter for programs that are online only instruction? Yes, it's called our global campus. So at WSU, we have the 6 campuses, and global campus is completely, totally online, asynchronous, perfect for working adults and people with family obligations or people who just like to learn online. The rest of the campuses are in person. There may be some exceptions here and there, but like 99.9% of it's in person. We occasionally can have a hybrid. A student can request a special permission to take a global campus class while they're attending an in-person campus. It's not the general rule of thumb. So people will select ahead of time if they want the global campus or if they want one of our in-person campuses. Great question. Thank you. Okay, presentation. Yes, absolutely. No, we would be happy to speak with students and staff. We do a lot of presentations. I know Laura, at every WSU Pullman event, someone from the transfer center is there presenting to students. And I also present at least weekly to students. So yes, we would love to. And then I'll go ahead and type my email in the chat here. And so feel free to just reach out to me and we can set it up, make it happen. All right, what else? What other questions? Oh, let me give you the link for the scholarship. The question is about the scholarship information. It's under our financial aid page. And we do have automatic scholarships at our different campuses. But it varies campus to campus. The amount varies and the requirements vary and the deadline vary. But generally speaking, if a student meets the deadline, the priority application deadline, then they receive the scholarship for the automatic scholarships. So I'm going to put this in here. That's for the Washington residents. And now I'll put in for the non-Washington residents. There we go. So some good information there. So the weekly presentation for students, I'll get that link up here. It's not through Zoom, it's through our Slate platform, but it's like Zoom, just no videos. It's just chat for questions. But then I also will meet one-on-one with students if they're interested in
I got the link too.
Oh, you got you? Okay, that's okay. More is better than less, right? Okay, you got it. Yours is more descriptive. Okay, what other questions?
Oh, and Tiff for competitive majors. So students are so depending on the major, they're not necessarily admitted to them before they get to WSU. Most of our competitive majors that have application processes, students have to complete like at least a semester and then apply for that major. And then some majors have application processes both fall and spring semesters, and then some are only once a year. So like kind of majors I can think of are like kinesiology, anything in the School of Design and Construction, so like architecture, construction management,
Interior design.
interior design, landscape management. So a lot of they have to apply once they arrive at WSU. But most advisors they have backup plans because some of them are pretty competitive. So I think like, for example, construction management, I think they take at most 50 to 60 students, depending on how big the class sizes are. And so the academic advisors here work with students as well to one, make sure that their application is as strong as possible. And two, if for some reason it doesn't work out, what are some solid backup plans that they can use, so that way they're not just kind of here and then have nowhere else to go. So there are other options for students.
And someone asked about the social work program. Yes, it's a Bachelor of Science in Social Work. It's available now at the Tri-Cities campus. That's the only campus that houses that one. It's related to their College of Nursing, and it's specifically because there's such a high need for people in that industry in that region. So yeah, it's getting a lot of good buzz. Okay, what else? Anything else? Did we miss something? All right. Well, I've given you,
and this, so do we cater to first year students who are completing ASTs or just transfer students? So any any student who is earning the Associate of Science transfer, so any student with transfer credit, regardless of whether or not they are a traditional transfer student or Running Start students, we help all students with any type of transfer credit.
And for admission purposes, Running Start students will apply as a first-year student, but all their credits generally transferred, so they would work with the transfer center if they have questions about how their credits transfer over. Oh, another one. Process for students who speak a foreign language to receive credits towards a major that requires a foreign language. So we do have a stamp testing that students can test to see if they are fluent or see where they place in the foreign language. So I'm assuming that that would be the same test that students would take to see if they could pass enough classes to get credit towards their degree. Not all of our majors require a foreign language, but many of them do. Oh yeah, Laura got it.
Yeah, so I put the language placement testing website. It's placement testing, or also I believe that there is a way that like students can earn credits.
Mhm.
Although
I
I'm
think-
not, yeah, I was like, I'm not an expert on it, but I've heard that before.
Okay. All right, time for one more question. You're welcome. All right. Okay, well, thank you all so much for coming today. Oh, is there another
one more question?
sorry. Yes.
UCOR is the same for
Mhm.
all WSU campuses.
Yes. And UCOR, in case you're wondering, it stands for University Common Requirement. It's basically general education. All right, you guys, thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate it. Please reach out if you have any questions or you'd like to meet with us further. We love meeting with you guys, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. All right, goodbye and go Cougs.
Go Cougs.